Hello and welcome to the Healed with Alyssa podcast. I am so excited for you guys to learn more information from me. This podcast is going to be all about helping heal your child and your family naturally without drugs or surgery. So let's get into it. Hello and welcome to today's episode of Healed with Alyssa podcast, where we discuss all things naturally for kids' health. Today, we're going to be talking about eczema and how to help eczema naturally in your children. I just wanted to share that eczema is absolutely not normal. It's very common today in our level of toxicity that we have, but it is definitely not normal. So if someone tells you that it is normal, do not take that and do not believe them. I just wanted to share some statistics that really surprised me. 20% of infants have eczema. That is insane. That is a very high number. That means 1 in 5 infants has eczema. Oh my God, that is crazy. My son actually developed eczema when he was in his older infant months, probably 5-6 months. But I see some babies who are born with eczema right out of the womb. And 1 in 10 kids, right, so not infants, it's just kids, have eczema. This is a huge problem that is not being addressed, right? We need to address why there is eczema here. So let's go over some causes of eczema, right? One of the biggest causes I would see is from food, right? We eat a lot of processed foods, we can have a higher risk of eczema. Grains would be the number one food I see affecting the skin. And when I say grains, I'm talking about rice, oats, wheat, and I think I'm missing something here, but rice, oats, wheat, corn. Those would be like the biggest triggers for eczema relating to food. Also, I see that seed oils can also be making eczema worse. So seed oils would be canola oil, soybean oil, corn oil, sunflower oil, these type of oils, which are very, very processed, and they can negatively affect the skin because they are very inflammatory. So, if you look at infant formulas, there are no infant formulas on the market that do not have seed oils. Even organic infant formula has some sort of seed oil or palm oil in them. The only formula on the market that I know of that doesn't have seed oils is a toddler formula. So it's not even meant for infants. It's meant for toddlers greater than 1 year old. So that is a big issue. Right? Why are we putting seed oils in our infant formula? It just doesn't make sense. I don't know why they can't just put in olive oil or avocado oil. I've seen some with coconut oil, so why can't we just use coconut oil and not be putting inflammatory oils in our infants? So those are the big foods. So if you or your child has eczema, I would recommend trying to cut out these foods from your child's diet and also decreasing processed foods in general, right? Also, sugar is another big trigger for eczema. This one I feel like is pretty well known. Most kids are eating a lot of sugar, way too much sugar. Maybe they're having juices and cookies and cakes, and they're just eating way too much sugar. So really cutting back on grains, seed oils, which if you're eating mostly anything processed, it's going to have seed oils in it, and sugar, right? Some people say that dairy can play a factor in eczema as well, and for sure it can, but I find that if there's a dairy issue, usually there's an underlying parasite issue. So I'm not a big proponent for telling people to just eliminate dairy right off the bat with eczema. I would first work on the grains and the seed oils. You can always work on dairy after, but I find that a lot of the dairy-free alternatives are not healthy, right? You look at dairy-free milks, they have a ton of additives. I would much rather drink my raw dairy milk that has one ingredient than these non-dairy milks that have xanthan gum and carrageenan. These things are toxic to your body. So I don't necessarily tell people to remove dairy from their diet right off the bat. Another thing that we can talk about here is breast milk. Okay, so if the mom is consuming these inflammatory foods in her diet, that is going into the breast milk. And if your child has eczema, that can also be affecting their health. When I have a patient come in that is breastfeeding, we will test the breast milk and see what's in there. And I find so many toxins in the breast milk. I find pesticides, I find heavy metals, I find mold in the breast milk, I find parasites in the breast milk. So if you are breastfeeding and your child has eczema, please, please, please work on your own diet. Please do not be eating tons of processed foods and tons of sugar and seed oils if you are breastfeeding a child. Not saying that never to have these things, but if that's the majority of what your diet consumes of, then you have a problem there. Next thing I want to talk about is, in pregnancy. So I see kids come out of the womb with eczema. So how does that happen? That happens because the mom's body was so toxic during pregnancy, okay, and before pregnancy. So this is why I harp on detoxing your body before you ever get pregnant, because guess what? You can't detox your body when you're pregnant, and you don't detox your body when you're breastfeeding. So it's really, really important that we do detoxing before pregnancy, right? And we make sure we eat a really clean diet when we're pregnant and when we're breastfeeding. So yes, so if the mom had any kind of shots during pregnancy, this is a big issue with eczema, okay? And I'll get into a little bit later of how that plays a fact into the baby's eczema, right? Because the mom's toxic load will go on to the baby during pregnancy, right? The baby is growing for it's 10 months. Let's say it's 10 months. Most people say 9, but it's actually 10 months. The baby is growing in the mom's body for 10 months. That's almost a whole year. And, if the mom is getting Botox, or she's getting her hair colored, or the mom is getting injections, the mom takes any kind of medication, the mom is drinking, tap water, the mom is eating fast food, the mom is eating a ton of sugar, right? All of this is going to affect the baby's health. And this is why we see children so unhealthy at such a young age, because of the toxic load that they are being exposed to at such a young age. So it is extremely important for the mom to do some kind of detoxing before pregnancy starts. So it is really, really important that the mom does some kind of detoxing. If you want to reach out and ask how you can do such a thing, we can definitely help you with that, doing some kind of detoxing, right? And if you're in between children, like you had a baby and you plan to have more kids soon, and you're done breastfeeding, that's a good time to do a detox. So it is very, very important that you are taking care of your own health, especially if you are pregnant. Next, I want to talk about environment, right? So the different environment that the baby is in, right? This can also go back to pregnancy too. But think about soaps and fragrances. I mean, people are loaded with, every house has candles and Airwick, and they're using so much Febreze and the Lysol wipes and the Bath and Body Works soap and the fragrance lotion. And, if the mom is pregnant or breastfeeding and the mom is doing a 30-step skin routine, that is toxic. No one needs to do a 30-step skin routine. If you feel like you need to do that, you need to work on your gut health, because skin comes from the inside and it's not from the outside. Cleaning products is another thing. So, if you use Windex, like that is so, so toxic. So really going through all of your products and cleaning them up. This is a really, really important step. If you have children in the house, you have pets in the house, you are pregnant, you are breastfeeding. I mean, for anyone, to be honest, if anyone has hormonal issues in the house, which at this point, I feel like almost every woman has hormonal issues. Almost every woman, every young woman, older woman that comes into my office has some kind of hormonal issue. So why is this? This is because we are so loaded with toxins. Not even talking about shots that we put into our body, because that is a whole nother story. But just look at all of the things. Like, you go into the store, all of the laundry detergents, the cleaning products, the this, the that. It is so overwhelming. It is insane. All of the foods, boxes and boxes of foods. Like, we have gone so far away from what we should be doing. Eating should be very simple ingredients. It should not be doing 30 boxes of different products. So yes, look at your environment and clean that up. Next, I want to talk about medication, right? If your child is on any kind of medication, maybe they're on Synthroid. I've seen some babies on Synthroid at a really young age, unfortunately. Maybe your baby's on medication for acid reflux. Hey, that medication needs to get processed by the liver and the gallbladder. And when our liver and gallbladder are already overburdened with toxins, yes, because we are overburdened with toxins as a society, it's very hard for the body to get that out. And so instead it pushes it through the skin. So eczema is a sign that the liver and the gallbladder are not functioning properly. So we need to look at the different medications. Or maybe when you were pregnant, you took a medication. Maybe you were on an antidepressant when you were pregnant, and that's going to affect the baby's health. I know they say that, okay, it's safe, but that can absolutely affect your child's health. So look at if your child's on any medications, if they're older and they take maybe some Claritin, or maybe they're on Miralax. I mean, who knows, but these medications need to be processed by the liver and the gallbladder. And eczema is a huge sign that the liver and the gallbladder are overburdened. Next, I'm going to talk about shots. So this is probably one of the biggest causes that I see. People come in, they say, oh, my child just got their, 2-month shots, their 4-month shots, and now all of a sudden they have eczema on their body. So why is that? Because there are so many toxins in these shots, right? It's not just the, whatever we're trying to prevent, right? They put formaldehyde, there's heavy metals. There are a lot of ingredients in these shots. And if you haven't looked at it, definitely go check out the different inserts so you can see what the actual ingredients are in these shots that you're giving to your child. So this is another big cause. Next, and I kind of talked about this already, is the liver and gallbladder not functioning properly, right? So the liver and the liver will processes all the toxins in the body. So if the liver is already stressed out because of, the baby's eating formula that has heavy metals in it, right? Or the baby's having formula that has seed oils in it already. And then environmentally, you're using, Johnson & Johnson's baby wash on their skin, and you're using all these different lotions, and you're using Dreft as the laundry detergent. So Dreft is not clean. Dreft is very toxic. And if you go on the EWG website, so I think it's ewg.org, you will, you can look up Dreft, and it gets a rating of an F. An F. That's the worst rating. because it is toxic and there's fragrances in it. So I do not recommend using Draft. And a lot of these things that are targeted for babies are generally very toxic. Johnson & Johnson baby wash is another thing that is not good for your child's skin. Also, Dove baby body wash. No. No. Okay. Next, we're going to get into more, like the root causes, some of the things that we address at our practice. So parasites. This is probably one of maybe like the number one cause that I see for eczema is parasites. Parasites cause all different types of issues in the skin. If you haven't watched my episode on parasites, definitely go check that out. So yes, parasites are a big cause of eczema. Next is mold, right? If your child is exposed to mold so if you were living in a house with mold and you don't know about it, because mold oftentimes is not visible, you can't see it. And maybe you lived in that house when you were pregnant. So the baby was exposed to the mold in pregnancy, right? And guess the baby is exposed, even though they're in your body, you're being exposed and your body is trying to detox that out. Next is, if you are breastfeeding, right? So then the baby's out of the womb, you're breastfeeding. So the breast milk has mold in it. And then the baby is also being exposed to the same mold. So the baby's bodies just get so overburdened from mold. And okay, maybe they're being exposed to mold, but then they're also being exposed to all of the soaps and all of the fragrances and all of the cleaning products and all of the seed oils that you're eating in your diet. Right? And going back to the grains that I talked about, like the rice, the oats, the wheat, the corn, these are very moldy also. Also, peanuts are very moldy as well, right? So that's like a double whammy. So if you're eating a lot of, breads and pastas and pizzas, that is also very moldy in addition to potentially living in mold. And a lot of people are being exposed to mold, and it's really negatively affecting their health. Next would be toxins such as heavy metals. So where are they getting that from? Shops they can get them from. They can get it from breast milk, because I've found it in breast milk. They can get it from water, right? For some reason, people think that they can mix their baby formula with not tap water, but like purified water from the refrigerator. I don't know when that started becoming a trend, but I know in the past that they only recommend mixing formula with distilled water. So that's not a new thing. That I worked in the NICU. I was a NICU nurse, and we only recommended that moms mix the formula with distilled water, because the filtered water has so many toxins in them. So if you are mixing formula, please make sure you're using distilled water for the formula. Also, if you're breastfeeding, I would also say to look into drinking distilled water, because if not, you're drinking a ton of toxins. So yes, heavy metals. Next would be environmental toxins. So this would be like pesticides, right? Herbicides, glyphosate. These are things that we're breathing in, right? They're spraying them outside. We're breathing them in. We're eating them. If we consume any kind of grains, we're eating them too. If, we're not eating organic, we're being exposed to them even more. If we are not drinking distilled water, they're so high in the water. If you drink like bottled water, they're still very high in bottled water. In spring water, they are high. So this is why I only recommend drinking distilled water. Next thing that is not as common as people think is emotional stress. So I do sometimes find that emotional stress can cause eczema, okay? And the liver emotion that is associated with the liver is anger and resentment, right? So maybe look at your own emotional state and see like, oh, am I really angry? Am I like resentful of something? And we're very connected as moms, especially with our children. And we can definitely push off our emotional stress to our children. So, always looking at emotions and how that affects your child's health, especially eczema. So, as I said, anger, resentment are huge ones with the liver, gallbladder, which leads me back to the skin, which usually is liver, gallbladder as well, right? Okay, so those are some of the biggest causes of eczema. Next, I want to talk about how we can help the eczema, right? So the first one, I feel like this is the most obvious, would be, cutting out the grains, the seed oils, just cutting back on sugar in your diet, cleaning up your diet. Next would be to clean up the products in your house, right? Especially the things that the baby's using. So, my favorite baby soap is unscented Castile soap. I will link in the show notes my favorite Castile soap. It is gentle, it doesn't have any fragrances, and it's very good for eczema. Also, not bathing your child every single day. Bathing children every day is not necessary. What most children are doing are they're not dirty. They don't need to be bathed every day. And if your child has eczema, the water will very much dry out the skin even more, right? So maybe bathe them twice a week or once a week. So bathing them every day is not the best thing to do for your child with eczema. The next thing would be to get a filter for the bath, right? If your child's taking a bath or taking a shower, you would want to put a filter on the bathtub to help to filter out some of these toxins in the water, because our skin is our largest organ and we will absorb toxins from our skin. So really looking at cleaning up the water, not only that we're drinking, but that we are bathing in. So I'll link in the show notes my two favorite filters for the bath and the shower, so you can take a look at those. Those are on Amazon. Next would be to clean up your laundry, your laundry detergent. Yes. I don't have like a favorite one that I love. Molly Suds is a good clean one, so I will link that also in the show notes. It's a very gentle one, but I don't have one that I absolutely love for laundry detergent. You just want to look for something that is unscented, right? It's not fragrance. And yeah, so when I say that, I'm not saying Tide free and clear, all free and clear. No, I'm not talking about those products. Those products are made by the same company that makes Tide, and they have really bad ingredients still. So I do not recommend those products. I would get something like Molly Suds or something that is more organic. Next thing you want to look is cleaning up the cleaning products. One cleaning product that I love, it is very multifunctional. So yeah, it's really great. You can clean surfaces. It's a disinfectant. You can clean the bathtub. You can clean the toilet, all the things. So I will link that in the show notes as well. And their products are really, really great and can use it for everything. You make it at home, so you don't have to be exposed to a ton of toxins. And they put food coloring into cleaning products. Like they put in, like Windex has like blue food coloring in there. Like, I'm sorry, but why does that need to have food coloring in it? And people are using that on a regular basis. So imagine how toxic that is for the people that do a ton of cleaning, like cleaning ladies and stuff. And lastly would be to detox, right? So I will link in the show notes. I have my children's parasite cleanse. So this is for kids ages 1+. And when you order that, you will get a dosing sheet based off of age. It's a general dosing sheet. and it's really, really gentle. It's homeopathic. It is liquid, and it has no taste. Super easy for kids to take it. And then I also have my heavy metal detox. So if your child had any kind of shots and you want to detox them from any heavy metals or chemicals from those, I have a detox for that. Also homeopathic, also water-based, has no flavoring, super gentle, easy to give, and that is for ages 1+ as well. And if you have tried all the things and you are really looking to address the root cause of your or your child's eczema, right? Maybe you struggle with eczema as well. We do virtual appointments, or we do in-person appointments in New Jersey. So I would love to help you address the root cause of your child's health or your health issues. So I will put in the show notes how to schedule an appointment with me if you are interested in addressing the root cause. So when people get to me, usually they have exhausted everything medically, right? They have, tried even other holistic practitioners and they haven't addressed the root cause. And just so you know, steroid cream is not addressing the root cause. So steroid cream is just a Band-Aid. And actually, long-term use of steroid cream does change the color of the skin, right? So it lightens the skin. So we see that a lot of times, actually, like in the elbows, mostly in the elbows, I notice it, that the skin is much lighter there because they have put a lot of steroid cream there. So make sure you're following me on Instagram. Send me a message. Let me know what you thought of this episode, and I will see you in the next episode. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you soon.
If this podcast episode resonated with you, please share it with another mother or another family who's going through similar issues. And if you could please leave us a review and a rating, it would mean the world to me. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you on the next episode.